Well, the one question I wrote was, what can I do to get past this stuckness in grief and separation?
Mm, mm. And mm, the grief and separation of many things gets tapped into. In other words, when someone leaves or when someone passes through the veil or transitions, or even when you have a friend or a loved one that is gone in some way, it does not have to be death necessarily. And the separation, of course, has been immersive for many of you. Being separate is immersive with many of you now because of what is happening in the world, and what you have been tapping into is the collective grief and the collective separation. And many of you, when you feel into that, when you allow yourself to mm, feel grief or feel separate, then you're also tapping into the collective of that. And it is very heavy in many cases throughout many human beings right now. There is a lot of grief and sadness and separation that is permeating almost as much as love. In other words, the depth of your sorrow is equal to the height of your joy. And when you are loved, and when you are loving, and when you are yearning for that love and yearning for that validation and yearning for that support and yearning for that companionship and yearning for that knowing that you are loved no matter what, and that there is connection with you. When you are yearning for that, of course, everything feels very sensitive when you feel like it is not there, which triggers your grief and triggers your separation. And what we want you to know is,
Hmm.
as you know, grief is something that is process. And when you are grieving something or someone, sometimes it is grieving mm, what could have been. Sometimes it is anticipatory grief, meaning you're feeling into what it could be or what it could not be. And you're anticipating the grief because it's not what you wanted it to be. And that also can trigger separateness, because when you feel separate from a connection that you have with people or with an idea, or with separating yourself from the collective of course, the universal divine spirit, which flows through you. And you can call this God, spirit, source, energy, universe, whatever you want to identify. That feeling that you are not alone with oftentimes gets dimmed. It gets shut down, and therefore you feel shut off. Your valve is shut off, or it is dimmed, or it is slow, or it is turned very quietly down. And that is also connected to your life force, dear one. So what we want to tell you is this, that all you have to do is understand that it is a process, and that if you feel grief around anything in particular, then just know that you may have heard time heals all. And what we want you to know is time is relative, of course, and there is no time, and there is an abundance of time at the same time. So we understand this is a conundrum for human beings to understand. But on that time continuum around grief, what happens is it expands and it contracts. It expands and it contracts. Many of you talk about it as waves. It comes in waves. And in order to not, as you say, get stuck in the wave, is to keep swimming. In other words, when you are in the ocean and a wave is coming and you can see it coming and you know it's coming, what do? Do you stand there and wait for it? Do you swim away from it? Do you play with it? There are many ways to understand and to play in that ocean. And when you have a wave of grief coming, or a wave of separation, even of feeling that you are going to get stuck in that feeling, what we suggest you do is keep swimming. And what we mean by that is knowing that it is transitory, knowing in your soul and in your energy that this is not the end. It is a continuous flow. And your job, when we say to keep swimming, is to turn up your life force, is to turn your valve up, to turn that life force valve up, to allow the white light to come to you, because it is infinite. It is never ending, and it is always there. It's just a matter of you being able to tap into it and understand and feel it. You see, it never goes away. Your life force is abundant. Oftentimes, though, there is a stuck valve. There is a stuckness in that pipe of connection, of white light, of universal love coming. And that stuckness, or that part that could be blocked a little bit, is the willingness to allow the flow, you see. So if you can imagine yourself swimming, if you can imagine yourself playing with the wave, becoming childlike with it. In other words, when you are playing in the ocean, you are not stuck with what is happening with you from moment to moment. You are choosing to allow the play, choosing to allow the flow, choosing to allow the moments. And they move. They do not stay the same, just like the waves in the ocean are not the same wave every time. They are continuous. And if you choose to play with the waves and surf the waves and play with it underneath the waves and jump up with the waves, and you are in the flow with the wave, then it allows you that freedom to unstuck yourself from all the questions that you might have about this is going to be forever, or how can I release this stuckness? How can I allow myself to feel this without pain? How can I choose more connection, and to know that I am worth the connection? You see, many people, when they feel separate or isolated or in grief, they feel alone, and also they feel that they are not worth having love in their life again, or having their desires to be answered. And it boils down to telling yourself, I am worthy of allowing this. And this too, of course, is transitory. These feelings are what make me human. These feelings are what I can play with, instead of looking at it in such a serious way of, I have to figure this out or I'm going to die. I have to figure this out or I'm going to be miserable. I have to figure this out or I'm going to be broke. I have to figure this out or I am going to be separate forever, you see. And what we are saying is, you do not have to figure it out, dear one. All you have to do is turn up your life force, turn the volume up, turn the valve up, allow that flow so that you can swim with that wave. When you feel it coming, when you feel uh-oh, here it comes again, or uh-oh, I'm feeling separate, or uh-oh, I'm feeling the grief again, is to allow it and say, this is transitory, and this is allowing me to learn how to play with what is, to play with the wave and be in the flow of it, and know that there is freedom in allowing yourself to play with it. And what that does, dear one, is it unsticks it for you. It unsticks that block in your pipe. It allows that flow of white light to come to you, to burst open your heart, and to know that you are loved and you are connected, always. It is always there. It has not left you, dear one. Do you understand?
Yes.
And how do you feel? Indeed.
I'm trying to process what you just said.
Do not try to process, dear one. What we are saying is you have a magnificent mind, and the mind can oftentimes get in the way of the flow of allowing this experience to be to your benefit. In other words, you may have heard this before. Things are not happening to you, they're happening for you. And if you look at all of the things in your life that it's happened for you, and that you have co-created all of these things in a way that is to play with it, then again, it allows you to be more present with the play of all of the feelings, all of the shadow feelings, all of the stuckness, all of the separateness. You see, because that is an illusion. It's an illusion that you feel separate. It may feel separate. It may feel alone. However, you are always connected to the light. It is just a matter of finding your switch to see it, to know it, to believe it, to feel it, and know that it's turned on. And all you have to do is turn it on, raise your valve, raise the volume, choose to allow this life force that is always here for you. And by doing so, it unclogs your pipes. You do not have to figure this one out, dear. What we are asking is, how do you feel?
Tired and a little tired. I feel tired.
That is because it takes a lot of energy to block your flow, you see. It takes a lot of energy to be able to figure things out. What we suggest is the tiredness that you feel is from not allowing the life force to flow through you, and to know that you are never alone in your connection. And one thing that you can do, dear one, is to allow yourself to flush out anything that you feel is draining you. In other words, when you are flushing a toilet, there is new water that comes in after you flush. And if you are clogged up in any way, it's hard to get it to flush, you see. And so what we are saying is flush your fears, flush your feeling of tiredness, let it drain all the way out, so that you can allow yourself to fill up with what is really there for you, which is pure love, pure connection. To allow yourself to fill up again. And you do not have to always flush out that feeling. That feeling is always there. It's just getting all the bits and pieces to flush away from your clogged spirit. All is well, dear one. And it is perfectly fine to be able to feel the feelings. And what we are saying is continue to flush those out so you can fill up with more of what you choose to have and that you deserve. Do you understand?
Yes.
Indeed.